it's all coming to an end, and you're saying your goodbyes, and it really sunk in. I think yesterday was a tougher day than Sunday was. I think in sports, that usually there is an end to it. Only 1 out of 19 teams gets to experience that feeling of winning their last game. So it was certainly tough on Sunday, and then Monday it was a pretty depressing day for sure. And not that it gets any easier right now, because I think we all realize that we didn't play to our potential, and that's a tough thing when you know that you had more to give. But it's a part of the business. We all sign up for it, and you take the good with the bad. I don't know if there was a pivotal point within the series. I think there was, that shorthanded goal was certainly a game-changing one in that Game 3. Some missed opportunities previous for us. You think about Chewy's his shorthanded breakaway that he doesn't score on, and I think we had a lot of those plays within the moment. I think probably where it changed most for me was in Game 1 when we came out flat. It was a real tough thing for me to grasp that we didn't play near to our potential, not even close to our potential. It was our worst game in a month, and I don't think we ever really recovered from that alone. So it was just a really tough series for us. We had a lot of individual players that played below expectations, and I think as a group we fell far below what we wanted to do. And it's usually what happens when you don't win. It's because you didn't get the job done, and we didn't get the job done. And I think the guys tried. For sure. I think a lot of guys had heavy legs and didn't have that, didn't feel in their best of athletic performance mode. But I think going forward, you can certainly look to the series the way it's set up. You work all year to get home ice advantage, and you have to go start on the road and play 2 games. That it could have been over with us only getting 1 home game. It's kind of a short first round and not a great scheduling kind of setup. It's tough, and it was tough. I thought it was a big factor in the reason that we didn't get off to the best start. A little bit of rest and more preparation, and a home game probably could have been a big difference maker in that series. Fraser Clare was an emotional leader for us. And a determined leader all season long, and I think you lose a guy like that, you lose a little. It's like losing a limb. And, it was kind of like we were playing with one arm at times. And we certainly had guys that could step up and do it. And obviously guys didn't really step up. We didn't have, a ton of guys raise the level of their game in his absence. But it was, I think it could have been a little bit of a different series had we had him. Now, I don't think one player would have changed so much, but it could have. And and I think it's something to evaluate and to really reflect on. And it was a tough one to lose. He was a big time heartbeat of our team. And I think when you take a little bit of that out, I think it maybe didn't give us the confidence that we needed or should have had. What, I thought Ryan Constant was phenomenal all year. For a guy that had traditionally had, I don't want to say average regular seasons, but had maybe up and down regular seasons and good playoffs. I thought the way he played, boy, was he was a focused athlete. He was a leader all year. He was a guy that really. But I think you look at a guy like Fraser Clare, the type of year he had coming back from Europe, and another good year. Garrett Hunt, what a season he had. Hitting career highs and goals and points and penalty minutes, and still managing to lead the league in fighting majors and in penalty minutes. And we had a lot of guys that do some great things, but everybody played real well. I don't think you can be a third place, second place, whatever you want to call it in the conference, and not have a lot of individual performances. We had a lot of guys that had some really good seasons, and unfortunately for us, it just didn't end the way we all expected it to. I think you lose out early, you're not happy about it. And I think the competitive fire in all of us, I've already talked to Odie. We've already started to recruit, and last year I don't think we made our first call probably until June, other than maybe a few early ones. So it's you get a head start on some of the teams that are playing. We'd all rather be playing. I'd rather be playing than recruiting right now, no question about it. But I think you can really pinpoint where your team needs to improve, and I think first and foremost we need to get faster. I thought we found a way to get around not being overly fast in terms of depth because we committed to our game plan. 90% of the time. That's why we won a lot of games, and we really didn't commit to our game plan in the playoffs. And as a result, our speed really got exposed, and we looked a step behind most nights. So I want to get faster. I liked a lot of the makeup of our team. I will say that. I thought if there was ever a group of guys that committed to a mindset and a game plan and a way to play, it was these guys. We led the league in majors. We played a rough style. I thought our fans really appreciated it. It brought out more fans to our games this year. Our attendance went up, and I think that could have been, that would have been a huge reason in my mind. But knowing what wins in critical times, I think we needed to be a little bit faster. Not much. Obviously, we had still a lot of good team speed. We didn't utilize our speed well in the 4 games, so I think maybe a little bit more of an attention to an element of speed would probably serve us well. It's really early. Obviously every one of these guys is, they've got people at home telling them, saying that maybe it's time to hang them up, and guys thinking about Europe, and guys thinking that this is their chance to get an American Hockey League deal, and so there's a lot of stuff still up in the air. But I think I'd love to have any one of these guys back. I think every single one of them, was a true professional. They worked hard, and I think it certainly ended poorly for us. But knowing what I know about these guys, we're not going to have them all back. It just never happens. I think if we can get 7, 8, 9 of them back, I think it'd be a good start. I think it's a little bit of time for a youth movement here. I think we were an older team, especially up front. I think if we can get a lot of first, second year players and some guys that are hungry, mixing some quality veterans, we feel that's very important. But we want to maybe get a little bit more youthful throughout the lineup, and a little bit more driven to play our style. And it's nothing against the guys this year. I think it's just, as a coach, it's what you're looking for when you think you have a team that can win a championship and you don't. You kind of got to start at scratch again, and we feel that we maybe have to do that.
Anybody giving you more that wants to come back next year?
Oh, every guy would love to. I don't like to ask them on the spot. I think it's important for guys to reflect and see what they have. But there isn't a guy in this room that that hasn't said that if they're playing in the ECHL, they'd love to play here. They love our fans. They love our building. They love the city. They really do appreciate everything that the organization does for them and ownership does for them. So, the guys are pretty focused on advancing their careers, and a lot of that means guys is going to Europe, and some guys it means advancing their lives. Like some guys, have fiancés and houses in other cities, and maybe it's time for them to step out. So I think guys are really thinking about everything that they can think about right now before they make a decision. But every one of them has said to me so far that if they were playing in the ECHL, they'd like to be playing in Stockton. I think youth is important. I think youth, I think a lot of good first year players are always helps. I think more importantly, it's just about rebuilding. Reloading is kind of the one that you were looking for. Is that we want to get a lot of young, hungry guys. We had a little bit of a veteran-laden team, especially up front. You think about Conkle, Claire, Vallette, Pitt, and Chewy. A lot of those guys are guys that will probably never play another game in the ECHL, and so for that means you got to replace them with guys. And we'll certainly look for some quality veterans, but. You look at if everyone wants to take a page out of Alaska's book, and they had a young team. They had a lot of good young, hardworking players, and sprinkled in a few veteran type players, and it was a pretty good recipe. And not that we all don't, all of us could have had the same type of a season. Everything kind of came together for them, and they played well at their critical times when other teams were struggling. So, but for us, I think for Odie and I, we think it's important to get a little bit of a fresher vibe here. I think we've exhausted players for 2 years as coaches, and I think it's important. But I'll tell you what, if every guy in the team wanted to come back next year, I wouldn't hesitate one minute to sign up to the exact same team, because this was a great team. It really was, and we fell short, and that's disappointing. But all those guys, to think that they'd have to go through 72 more games to get revenge would be a little bit of a daunting task, but I'd take every single one of them back. Well, you know what? I think the one thing that Stockton has quickly become is a hockey city. I don't think there isn't a person in town that I go everywhere and I see people wearing Stockton Thunder hats, sweatshirts, and T-shirts, and it's been great. But hockey in general, I think we still got a ways to go. I think I still think it's important to get more young kids playing. But I think from our fan standpoint, they were behind us all year, and they got behind us more and more as the season went on. And I think that was a testament to just how important hockey and the Thunder have become in this town. And I know the guys were really appreciative. The guys really felt we let the fans down, and it's and as much as we let ourselves down, we really felt that we owed the fans a good playoff run. So I think that makes it twice as hard.